The trio is back, everyone. Welcome to Novel Hour. We gather here every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Time, 12 noon New York time, depending where you are in the world. We have a theme for each week, and then we share some wonderful book recommendations with you. But I know it's been a minute, so the trio is here, and we're really excited to share some book recommendations in celebration of World Autism Month. Now, I think it was the 2nd, that's World Autism Day, but the month of April is Autism Month. And we're going to be sharing some books. Some feature main characters who are autistic. Some are written by authors who are also autistic as well. Some are neurodivergent and on the spectrum in, different ways. So yeah, we have some fun books to share with you. I'm going to go first. So I'm going to kick the girls off and I will be sharing some fun mysteries. Okay. So my books are really fun mysteries that feature autistic characters. I was really excited to kind of bring this list to you. So let's get into it. So these mysteries blend suspense. We're going to have some rich character journeys in there as well. And again, I can't wait to share with you 3 mystery books that feature autistic characters. So the first book I'm going to share with you is The Framed Women of Ardmore House by Brandy Shillings. Now, for this one, the setting is an abandoned English manor. It's steeped with secrets. There's a missing portrait and a murder that turns this quiet estate into the center of a mystery. Now, our main character is Jo. Jo is neurodivergent. Jo is a book editor who is also recently divorced. Now, she's a New Yorker who is a transplant in the English countryside. And obviously, life is anything but quiet there. After losing her job, losing her mom, and her marriage all in 1 year, this is a lot going on for her. She finally decides to claim this unwanted family estate, and it happens to be in North Yorkshire. Now, while there is this groundskeeper who's kind of a bit, moody and stuff. However, his body is found on the estate. There are 3 bullets and everything, of course, in her life changes. So there's also a portrait that has vanished from a secret room. So anyway, our main character, Jo, now, because again, we have someone who's murdered. We have a missing portrait. Her herself ends up in a whole bunch of danger. She even becomes a potential suspect, but we see her getting help. And I love the supporting cast. We have an antiques dealer in the mix. We have a local detective as well. We even have an innkeeper's wife. So we see her on a mission to clear her name, first of all, recover the missing painting, and of course, solve the murder. It's very cozy. It's a fun, clever mystery. And I think it will have you questioning like all the secrets happening around the estate. And of course, along the way, you'll get to know our main character, Jo, who I think she was great. She was really brilliant, but also her quirky journey that she's on. And we also get to see her learn to trust herself. So first book is The Framed Women of Ardmore House by Brandy Shillings. Okay, the next book on my list, the next mystery that features an autistic character is entitled Dark Island by Daniel Aubrey. Now, for this setting, I want you to picture midwinter in Orkney. Now, in case you're not familiar, this is a group of islands north of Scotland. There are few hours of daylight there. So, because again, you're very north. So there are only 6 hours of daylight there. The landscape, very unforgiving, okay, but it's also very beautiful, but it can be a bit rough. So anyways, we have our main character, Freya, who's a reporter. Now, she has always known that she was different. And we see her deciding to uproot her life because she is original from Orkney, but she moved to Glasgow. So she's in Glasgow and she decides to kind of uproot her life there and return to her childhood home. In the backdrop, she's also waiting on her autism assessment. So as she moves back home to her childhood home, she's seeking a quieter life, which of course you will definitely get in Orkney. However, her plans are shattered when there's this brutal winter storm that comes through. And with that winter storm comes some human remains that just kind of, appear from the Atlantic, which clearly the Atlantic is a bit wild itself, especially during winter. So we see her in a race against time. She's trying to find out who is this person, where did these bones come from? While she's doing that, it also stirs up some old history and some old wounds. Again, this is her childhood home. This is where she's from. And seeing her like on this obsessive journey just turns into a whole cat and mouse game. Every twist, everything she's uncovering is threatening herself, threatening her job, threatening her family, and it even is putting new victims in danger. This is a nail-biting mystery thriller, I have to tell you. It's very emotional. There's complex twists. But again, I love our main character, just very brilliant. Also, like I said, neurodivergent. And we see her just handling this mystery in this very remote location. So again, that's Dark Island by Daniel Aubrey. Now, the third mystery featuring an autistic character that I'd love to share with you is Poisoned Primrose by Dahlia Donovan. Now, in this one, again, we're in the UK. This is set in Cornwall. This is the next setting. And I feel like this book has all the hallmarks of just a cozy, quintessential British mystery. So it's anything but ordinary, lots of fun. Now, we have our main character, Pineapple, but called affectionately Mott's, who is an autistic woman in her late 30s who decides to flee the chaos of London. She takes her cat, she takes her turtle, and she goes to this little cottage in Cornwall. Now, again, perfect place. You're leaving busy, bustling London. You're going to Cornwall. You're hoping for some peace and quiet. However, there is a body that turns up buried in her garden. So, of course, this whole idea of peace and quiet is absolutely derailed. So she ends up in this mystery, one, trying to figure out how did this body get there? Who is it? And she just ends up in this mess of just clues and danger and all kinds of things. Now, of course, the best part about this is the supporting cast. So there's a detective in town that comes into the whole thing. We also see her, which I forgot to mention, she has a small business. The detective has a small business on the side. So keeping up with that investigation as well. And it's just a lot of suspicion, lots of threats, naturally. Without spoiling it, just know it's fun. We also get, it's a very fun romp. We get a bit of, romance in there as well, but that's very minor. I just love the quirky characters, again, unexpected twist and a lot of danger to just kind of really keep you guessing. Again, this one is quintessential British mystery. So yeah, those are my three mysteries. I think they're very captivating. They'll deliver the suspense, give you those clever twists. But of course, we have autistic characters at the center, which also gives us that added insight into a unique way to solve murder. So we get some unique journeys as well. So I'd love to know in the comments, let me know which books resonate with you, but I'd also love to hear from my friends on these three mysteries that feature autistic characters.
So I have to say,
go ahead.
I have to say the British cozy mystery. I'm like, oh, I'm here for it. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect character because I feel like it's an amateur sleuth. You're trying to, neurotypicals may look one way, but neurodivergents may look at a different clues, a different approach, and may take them to a different level. So I'm actually looking forward to that. And I feel like we should have more neurodivergents, doing amateur sleuthing. I'm like, yes, brilliant. Yes.
Definitely the perfect job. Also, I think the first one you share, the framed women's of Ardmore House, that sounds like a lot of fun too. So definitely both of those sound really, really good.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we don't have more neurodivergent sleuths in the game, because when you really pay attention to these books, they're just really wonderful. But again, if you have any recommendations of books, not just mysteries, I mean, I shared mysteries, but I'd love to hear from you all. If you have any book recommendations where you have neurodivergent characters, folks on the spectrum, folks with autism, we'd love to hear from you. So share your thoughts in the comments. Okay, so Laura has some fun books to share with us, so we're going to pop off, and I can't wait to hear about her books.
So I have 3 recommendations that are all romance, and I checked with Francesca, so we have different recommendations, just an FYI. But we have some similar authors too. So the first one is A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. Talia Hibbert is well known for the Brown Sisters series, which Francesca will talk about this, but this is her earlier series. It's a small town, British, like it's all like the title is from 2018. I read it a while ago, but it's a small town, cozy town recommendation. This is right up your alley. So in this book, Ruthie is autistic, and she had a breakup, like a terrible breakup, and like it had a falling out with situation. And she's hiding in her apartment, reading her comics, and just living her life. And her neighbor comes in. He just moved into the new town, and he just he just knocks on her door with a shepherd pie. And it turns out that Ruthie doesn't know how to cook. And her neighbor feels bad for her and starts cooking for her and being nice. And she's like, what is going on? Why are you being nice to me? Like, you're just this random military dude, and you're just like feeding me. And a friendship evolves and a relationship evolves. And then she really has to confront her things that happened in the past in the town. And so it's like a really lovely relationship. There's theme, there's smut, but it's definitely really lovely, and it's a great series starter. There's actually interconnected standalones for different peoples in the family and the characters in the town. So it's a great series to binge on if you have already read the Brown Sisters series and you want to read more Tally Hibbert. So that's A Girl Like Her by Tally Hibbert. The next book is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is the book that pretty much put neurodivergence into the spectrum in 2018. This is a traditional published book that helped, a lot of the illustrated covers that we now see rom-coms. This was not a lot of them were happening at the time. These were one of the first few ones that are starting. So the Kiss Quotient is essentially pretty women in gender reverse. So Stella is a mathematician. She's like an economics. She's like woman in STEM. And she wants to figure out things about love and never get sex. And she hires Michael, who is an escort, to teach her lessons in seduction, lessons in sex. And they develop a relationship. And Michael explains that he has some reasons why he's choosing to do this. And Stella helps him to try to overcome those reasons. And it's very smutty. It's very spicy, but it's lovely, and it's evolved, and you get to see, Stella, be neurodivergent and being unapologetic with Michael, and Michael being actually appreciating all her neurodivergency and saying I have family members who are too, and I understand and just appreciate and support you. And so Michael is a Sweeney character, just like Evan and A Girl Like Her. So they both are the perfect boyfriend. If you want to read more, The Bright Test features a neurodivergent hero. And I think The Heart Principle is another neurodivergent heroine in this case. Or hero, I'm not sure. I didn't read The Heart Principle. The Heart Principle is a little bit more women's fiction, but this series is great. I wish Helen Huang writes more books, but we can just enjoy what we have right now. So that's The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. And then the final one is a historical romance, and it's Chasing Cassandra by Lisa Kleypas. So this is from Lisa Kleypas' latest series. It's the last book that she published. She's been writing, but she's not publishing books. Lisa Kleypas is a staple in the historical romance. He's not only neurodivergent, but we see, his style of living and his style of emotions, and we assume that he's neurodivergent. But it was not at that time in the era in the I think this is Victorian. It's not diagnosed or just put in place an assessment. So Chasing Cassandra, we have Tom Severin, who's a railroad magnate. He made his money. He likes Cassandra. But Cassandra wants to have a relationship with Cassandra, but he doesn't believe in love or feelings. And Cassandra wants love and feelings. And so they're kind of at odds. They're opposites attract. But he wants Cassandra, and Cassandra's well, we gotta do this. And some scandal happened that Cassandra needs to be in a relationship with someone, and he offers that fake relationship. And things happen and feelings evolve, and Tom realizes that he has feelings for Cassandra, which is a lovely part of it. But this whole series, The Ravenels, is a great series starter for Lisa Kleypas. I know she has older series like The Wallflowers, The Hathaways. the old 90s and 2000s, but this is a good contemporary series to get started. And if you like Lisa Kleypas writing, you could go back to her backlist. I hope she writes more books, but I don't know, the historical romance is a dire need, but we would like to have more Lisa Kleypas books because she's still writing.
Hopefully we'll get some more. But I have to tell you, I didn't know about that Talia Hibbert. I'm one of those people who started reading Talia Hibbert because of the Brown sisters. So I will admit there's some stuff I've missed, but that one sounds good.
Yeah, she has a lot in her backstory, in her backlist. You need to
I need to go down.
Go past the popular.
I really like in that series. She has an older character and a younger hero, and that's like my favorite book in the series because he's like they're just like the tension. Like Talia gets good banter, but it gets like so much good tension, and it's just so good. So and what part of me here that he's just cooking for you? Like I want that. That's the only way I'll have a relationship. Like, can you cook for me? Can you clean?
Oh my gosh. I love this.
Also, I will second the Bride Test. I think it's actually my favorite of all three by Helen Huang. I love
the Bride Test is a favorite too. I love the kiss quotient.
Yeah.
I remember that being a big thing on social media at the time.
Yeah.
But I love the Bride Test. I think the Bride Test too is a fave. It's a fave.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So if you're just joining us, welcome. We're sharing books that feature neurodivergent, autistic characters. And some of these books are actually written by authors who are also autistic. So you're going to get a mix. I shared some mysteries. Laura just shared some romance. And Francesca has some more romance, but they're different books. We promise. So let's hop off here so Francesca can share.
Yeah. So actually, Laura and I checked in with each other this morning. We usually don't do that, but because we were both going to be sharing romance, we're like, okay, what books are you sharing? I gave her my list. Those were not on her, so we were good. So I'm actually going to start out also with a historical romance, kind of just piggybacking off of the Lisa Kleypas, which I absolutely love. So starting out with a historical romance, the classic for me is The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie by Jennifer Ashley. This is the first book in the Mackenzie brothers, I think, series. So it is the start of a whole family saga. And as the title would kind of suggest, and because it is the I think it's set in 1881. So it is not seen, there's no labels. It's seen as just, this person is mad. And that is very much what Ian has gone through. And we get to see that in this book. So he's basically like the classic misunderstood hero, but he is rich. He's a very intense and broody kind of character, Scottish, it is a Highlander story. But, society has just been treating him like he's mad his whole life. We find out that he spent his youth in an asylum. And, it's basically that he doesn't fit the typical mold of an aristocratic man. But the fact is, you do get to see those clues that he is neurodivergent. Now, there's no label, it never gets labeled in the book because of the times, but the author has formally confirmed that she did write Ian as an autistic character. So that was always the intention. That is how he was written. And that is what comes through. You definitely feel it just by reading it, and you get to understand some of the things that he was going through, also a reflection of the times. And all of that you're feeling on page, but he's also hyper intelligent, hyper literal. He's not great with social cues, but also very deeply loyal and a deeply feeling kind of person underneath all of that. And in this story, we get to meet Beth, the heroine. She is a widow. She's also very smart, very kind, but she's kind of a rebel. And she decides that why not? Why can't I fall for this man that everybody's telling her that she shouldn't trust because he's mad? So the romance between them works because we see how Ian feels for her, because he feels seen by her. So she's the one person that doesn't want to fix him. She's there to see him for who he is and how he is and just understand him. And it really opens the door for a very respectful, tender relationship, but it's also quite spicy. So, don't let any of that make you think that it's not a very spicy book. It's really, really good. Actually, he's one of my favorite Highlanders ever. But this book is kind of part mystery. There's a little bit of a mystery subplot. It is a slower burn romance. There's also a huge cast of compelling characters because, again, it is the start of a family saga series. But at the core of it is just about a man who has been really othered his whole life. And we see the suffering that has caused. But he finally finds someone that doesn't flinch away for, who he is and how he speaks and how he feels, and actually embraces that and loves him just like that. So that validation and that being seen is really what stands out in this book. The second book, we have talked about Talia Hibbert, but I am going to bring it up, is Act Your Age by Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is for the people that want something contemporary. This is a great one. Both main characters in this one are autistic rep, and it is an enemies to lovers. There's plenty of banter in this book. It's a really fun book. It's one that I just breezed right through. It's just such a fun story. Eve is the youngest Brown sister. She's the hot mess of the family. She's been bouncing from career to career. She's very impulsive, kind of like going by her feelings all the time. And she has given up on really figuring her stuff out, figuring her life. And her parents decide to cut her off and tell her that it's time that she has to grow up. And Jacob, on the other hand, is the complete polar opposite of her. He is very much like military level control. He runs a B&B, and he's very structured, very meticulous, and he doesn't vibe with Eve, like Eve's mess, let's say, messy energy. So their first meeting is actually not a meet cute, it's a meet crash because she hits him with her car. So it's a little bit of disaster right off the gate. And after that, she just kind of worms her way into his business and into his life. And it's just a beautiful exploration of just two very different people and just also very different experiences of autism representation, because there is no one size fits all portrayal. Eve is dealing with her own issues, and Jacob is definitely the more rigid and direct and all of that, but they have to navigate communication and boundaries and vulnerability. And I think that it's really done very well, very respectful. It's funny, it's swoony, it's all of the things. So also I think it's a great book that shows you how two characters can really grow. So we do get to see a lot of that from both of them. And it's not about changing who they are, but accepting who they are and growing within that. And the third book that I have, it's more, let's not call it the heavier one, but it is more emotional. And it's Carry the Ocean by Heidi Cullinan. So this is a book that will wreck you in like the best possible way. If you're in the mood for something a bit quieter, more emotional, more like healing, I think that this is a great one for you. It's got queer rep, autism rep, depression rep. It checks all of that, but it never feels heavy-handed. So first off, it is written under the pen name Heidi Cullinan, but the author now goes by June. So I do want to make sure that I include that. But they will continue keeping the Heidi Cullinan name. So all the previous titles and whatever they write in the future is still going to be under Heidi Cullinan. So the story with this one is that the author used to work with autistic and Down syndrome patients. And that's kind of how they did the research for this story. And they wanted to actually show representation of kind of like the intersection of the autism and queer experience together. So that's where this book comes up. So it follows Emmett, who is an autistic college student studying math and computer science, and Jeremy, who's dealing with clinical depression and a lot of internalized shame. So Emmett is the very confident, direct, basically the kind of like he knows what he wants, and he decides this boy is cute, I want to date him, and that's it. And Jeremy, on the other hand, because of all of his depression and shame, he's just wondering, but why do you want that? I'm such a mess. And Emmett doesn't see Jeremy as broken, and he just sees him as somebody that's worth loving. And within that perspective, he's it's not that he's there with love to fix a person, but they do encourage each other to overcome their own internal struggles and things that they're dealing with. It's a very tender relationship. It's a very affirming relationship. And also it shows a very different side of the life experience, because both of these characters really struggle with independent living. So they end up moving in together at an assisted living facility. And this becomes kind of like their safe space for them to not only love each other, but also learn to advocate for themselves. So it does deal with some hard stuff, some mental health, boundaries, meltdowns, and all of that. But the beautiful thing with this book is that it's never hopeless. It's very hopeful in a very grounded way. And the romance, it's all about building a life that works for you and not just trying to squeeze into a mold of what other people expect that your life should be. So I think it's a very beautiful exploration of that. And the author did just a fantastic job with it.
That sounds really good. Like really, really good. I've never heard of that, but
It's
I'm here
really
to co-sign the Brown sisters. Them I love. And yes, that middle sister is a hot mess.
Yeah, I love the Brown sisters, but I'm actually excited for the third book because I haven't heard of it.
That one
This is great. Like, I'm like, a new book to read.
Yes.
I agree. That one was very
It's probably one of my favorite books of theirs.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, if you're just joining us, welcome. We are doing Novel Hour Live. We gather here every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Time, 12 noon New York time, depending where you are in the world. We have a topic and a theme, and we share some book recommendations based on that topic and theme. Today, we shared some books with autistic characters in them. Also, some are written by autistic authors as well. And I shared some mysteries. Laura and Francesca shared romance, very different books. So if you're looking for some great recommendations, hit rewind, listen to our thoughts, and then borrow or buy the books. In other news, what are we doing next week? I even forgot what we're doing.
Arab books.
Okay.
Yes, because in addition to it being Autism Awareness Month, because that's why we're also sharing, April is Autism Awareness Month. You know, Google, schmoogle, see if there's anything local happening in your area, and obviously support inclusion with neurodivergent folks and neurotypical folks. I think it's great. I think it's great when we can read these stories and experience it, but also get involved if you can. It's also Arab American Heritage Month, so we're also going to share some book recommendations for that next week. So be sure to tune in. Francesca, do you have anything going on? Anything coming up on the Substack? What are you doing?
So this week, the thing that I have coming up on the Substack is the April reading guide. So what to read for the month of April, what tropes, so trope ideas for you to like pick out your own books that you want to read, some recommendations that I give, new releases that I recommend. So all of that for what to read in April is what's going on this week for the most part.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. Friday, tomorrow, I will be sharing my favorite books from April. I think I have 8 standout books from April that I'm recommending you also pick up, and 5 book-to-screen adaptations worth keeping an eye out for. I should be watching one later this evening, so I'll report back and let you know how that goes. Also available, if you haven't already, is the spring reading guide. Yes, I have that covered there. So if you haven't already, head on over to Substack. It's available there. Laura, what do you have going on?
So I recorded a podcast episode, so you'll hear what actually started, DNF, and what's been updated, along with a yoga mat that I found in Marshall's. We're excited for that. You'll see a picture of it, and then I'll have 10 books that you can borrow from the library, 10 audiobooks that are available. You can borrow from the library, but they're Kindle Unlimited exclusive. So you get to do that. You get to tandem reading. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you want to listen to it at the same time, and you don't want to pay for the audiobook. So that's a good way to boycott Amazon without hurting the indie authors. That's my soapbox.
Yes, we also have a video about that on the channel. Okay, we talked about it. Check it out. Authors have opinions. People have been sharing their opinions in the comments too. So again, we'd love to hear from you. So just check out our channels or respective channels. Obviously, we go live here every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern time. We also do a gossip session every other Monday. So check that out. We also cover some of the news and updates in the bookish community. But I think that's it for today. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. today, press rewind and catch up. And until the next live, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.